Welcome to another episode of the Delayed Gratification podcast, where we talk about taking our time to build wealth and what that takes. We have some amazing guests that tells us about their journey and the processes. Today is no other than Lavonne Idlette. What's up?
Nothing much. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you in Atlanta. Woo!
Thank you so much for having me. It took a lot to get here, but I made it.
the temperature went up, so I knew you was here.
Woo! I'm happy.
Happy to be here.
It's been a little too cold.
That's all right. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
All right. So the simple, easy version of it is I was a professional athlete. I went to the Olympics in 2012, and I am in real estate by force. I'm a securities attorney by trade, and I help young high achievers invest in real estate passively, but alternative assets in total. So purchasing companies or purchasing businesses or real estate. And I create funds and syndications for sponsors who are looking to raise capital. And I help them do everything from the legal to the exit. I just don't operate. So if you're a good operator, I'm a helper. That's it.
So you said a lot just then, but I want to go back to the Olympics. Like, what did you do at the Olympics?
I did track and field. I ran the 100-meter hurdles.
Really?
Yeah. So it's the best event in track and field because, everybody can be fast, but not everybody can run full speed at barriers.
Are you still running?
Absolutely not. I am very friendly with my snacks, and I retired in 2017. Okay. Basically, after a 10-year professional career, which I really enjoyed, got to see the entire world, but track and field is an unforgiving sport. So it's something that you have to be 100% dedicated to. And the moment that I saw myself, I skipped one workout to go to a meeting, and I was like, it's over. Because it's just not that kind of a sport. The difference between the winner and the loser is 100th of a second, and everything matters. Everything.
So as a growing up, did you know you wanted to be a professional athlete?
No, but I knew I was faster than everybody. So on the block, I race everybody. They ride their bike, I run. And I did gymnastics actually growing up, but gymnastics is probably the only honest sport for children because I was 11 when they were like, you ain't never going to be great. And then you should do something else.
Wow, at gymnastics. They told you that.
Mm-hmm. And so I started at 18 months old. And when I was 11, I was the exact same height I am now. So 5'7" and a little bit top heavy. So they're like,
At 11?
Mm-hmm. So I took that skill set over to cheerleading for a little while. But gymnastics is really good, a good motor skill sport. So I was very powerful. I already knew that. And I had really good body control. And so I had never run track before because track is sort of something either your parents know about it and you run from 5 years old or nobody has no idea and you run in high school. So I ran in high school and I started with the 100 like everybody else, but I got whooped every single day at practice because I had a really good team. Oh my gosh, it was ridiculous. And I was like, Coach, this ain't fun. What can I win? And he's like, let's try hurdles. And from that moment forward, I did the hurdles. I did all the jumps, long, triple, high, went to college to do the heptathlon and all the jumps and hurdles. And when I became a pro, I stuck to hurdles alone and got really good much faster, I went to a HBCU, so they tried to make me do every single event while I was in college. So I always felt I tell kids now, I took third place all the way to the Olympics because I just was not getting better because I was doing too many things.
Yes.
And I did that all through high school and college where at a meet, you'll only say I just look like a wild thornberry. My hair looks crazy. I'm competing from 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock, in every event.
You're competing in multiple things. So college to the Olympics. Tell me about the Olympics, because I don't think I've met anyone that's been in the Olympics before.
Yeah, so after college, so I would say that track and field is very much like any other entertainment sport. So like you have sponsors and you have meet promoters. So it's sort of like just like a concert, like they'll book the talent. And so you get to go around the world to these different meets, and that's the build up to the World Championships, which is every other year, and then the Olympics every 4 years. And pretty much in between that, you're training. I happen to be like one of those crazy nerd people who happens to be faster than other people. So I got an MBA and a law degree while I was competing.
Did you?
Yeah. So that's just like, I pretty much dragged that whole student athlete thing out by continuing to go to school, even though I didn't have to. But like, yeah, train 6 hours a day, go to class 4.
Go to class.
Yeah.
What is your MBA in?
So my focus in the MBA is in finance. So my undergrad is in finance. It took me a while to get there. I had 7 major changes in college, but because I started off, I wanted to be a doctor my whole life. But that's just because that's what people tell you. When you're a kid and you're good at math and science, they're like, oh, you should be a doctor. I'm running with it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a doctor. I got to college. Nobody thought about the idea that I don't like touching people. So
I want to be a doctor.
After shadowing the dermatologist, which is what I wanted to be for a summer, I was like, nah, I'm all set.
But you changed your major a couple times.
7 times.
7 times for real? That's a lucky number.
And I graduated on time though, in 4 years. Yeah.
Oh, you were rolling. You were taking some extra classes.
18 hours a semester.
You know what though? A lot of people don't tell their kids they will allow them to fail as opposed to supporting their change, because you do have to figure out what it is that you really like. That's
why I think that, although I'm probably one of the only people in the world who still believes that like you should go to college.
No, I'm one of them.
But I don't think that you need to have your life figured out by 17 when you go there and like have like a full picture of what you're going to do. Literally, I had a professor that told me, because I was in the business school already, and the business law class, he's like, you should go to law school. And
Where'd you go?
Hampton to undergrad.
Okay.
And he's like, you should go to law school. And I'm like, I don't want to be no lawyer. I don't want to go to law school. And he's like, I'm telling you, I didn't have, like, I teach this class like law school, which is Socratic method, and you don't need a curve. You should go to law school. And I absolutely loved law school. It was definitely like for my brain type, which is like word math. I loved it. I thought it was great.
So you went to law school while you were still running?
Yeah. So after my first year of law school, I went to the Olympics. So 2012.
Wow. Yeah. So you were in school at the Olympics?
Yes.
How does that work?
So I am really good at problem solving. So one of the problems that you have to solve when you're in school is how to maximize your absences. Because you'll fail the class if you have more than 6 absences. So you have certain classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. So I figured the whole thing out. So I was going to Europe like every other weekend to compete and come back, because that's the only way to make money. So just trying to like figure all of that out is how I did it. But it's a balance. Like I'm the kind of person who needs a lot to do, or I'm probably gonna like take a nap and like not do anything. So like the year that I took the bar in 2015, it was my best ranked year in the world. I was ranked number 6 in the world.
During the most,
and I passed the bar first time.
Did you? First time?
Yeah.
That's rare. A lot of people are stressed out so bad when they're taking that bar exam.
Yes.
So what did you focus on in law school? Because I know with your master's was finance, your undergrad was finance. What about law school?
So when I first got there, I was very much like, I knew I didn't want to be a lawyer per se, but I'm like, a lot of Fortune 100 CEOs go to law school. Maybe I'll find something in business that I like. So my main focus was bankruptcy and then securities, which is what I practice now. And that's, securities is the packaging of the sale of your debt or equity to someone who doesn't participate and they want to profit. So
make that a little bit more simple though for me. Like that. Woo, I heard a lot. So securities, give me like an example. What is?
So a stock that is on the NASDAQ that you can buy, that is a security. Okay. But because it's on the public market, most people understand that and they buy it and sell it all the time. But what I focus on is private placements. So a private company is raising money, and it's either debt or equity, and you can break it into little pieces. So instead of saying I need $1 million to a person who don't have $1 million, you could say, hey, I'm raising $1 million, but I'll take 10,000 and I'm selling small portions of it. And it makes it digestible for most people that you talk to, and a better conversation. Because most of the time when you just go out and say I need $1 million for this business, most people are going to be like, good luck. Instead of being like, yeah, I'm raising $1 million. You can invest with us for 25,000. This is what the returns are going to be, and this is how long we're going to have the money, and this is what the plan is, and get them excited to be a part of the journey without having to do any work. Like, that's the best job. Give your money a job.
Wow, I like that. So, with your law degree, with your specialty, you help folks raise money. Basically, what you're saying.
Yes.
You good at it.
Yes.
What does that look like? I come to you today. I wanna start an airplane business.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I know. I don't know anything else. So what happens from there?
So if you were a typical attorney, you would just write up documents for them, and you would tell them good luck on your airplane venture. I personally can't do that, so I don't let people. I have more of like a full service consulting firm. So I'm going to say, all right, so tell me about the business, how long you've done it, who's on your team, how can we package this to make this something that's attractive for investors, and then like, what is the time horizon for your exit?
So I'm gonna say I don't know all. I woke up this morning, I slept at Holiday Inn, I feel real educated, and I just know I want an airplane business. So it's new to me and my family. Mm-hmm. So you can help me start?
I probably could,
okay,
but I probably wouldn't take you. So that is a little bit farther outside of what my specialty is. My specialty is you do something good already, and I can help you do it great and like make more money and make it bigger. The starting from scratch thing is a little harder because you're getting people to buy into you. Mm-hmm. Which it's still a piece of it. People have to buy into you. They have to know, like, and trust you. But as an executor of the thing that you already know how to do is a way easier sell than the like. I think I want to do airplanes. And you're like, are you an engineer? You're like, nah. Are you
have you ever flown a plane?
Right,
no.
Nah. So that's a little too far fetched, at least for me. But like, people raise money like that all the time. But like, my approach to it is, there is an unlimited amount of capital in the world. Plenty of people make money. They have it sitting somewhere in a bank. It's not making any money. So there are lots of people who need to give their money jobs, but they want to do it in a way where the risk matches the reward. And so in order for that to happen, especially because they're giving it to you for some time period where it's illiquid, so they can't just get it back at any moment, you want it to be really focused on like, okay, I already know you can do this really well. Now, if I was able to give you this much more money, could you do this better? And then focus on how that return looks for your investors and what that timeline looks like. And I'm able to like create an entire plan around it and take it out and pitch it. I actually have a newsletter where I put offers in it for accredited investors and an accredited investor, someone who has made $200,000 for the last 2 years, or they have $1 million in net worth.
You gotta have both?
Either.
Okay.
And I have a list of 10,000 of them. So, and that's not very many because there are actually 15 million in America.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of money. There's a lot of abundance in the world. It's just about finding the people who believe in you, your strategy, and your ability to execute what you're trying to do.
So I'm gonna back up some. So I come to you, I'm really good at something. But that's the part that starts to scare most people. How do I go from A to B? And it's gonna be capital. Mm-hmm. We don't know how to raise capital. So I got the idea. I got all my records where I'm really good at it. Mm-hmm. What do you do from there?
So we put together a package and we get you in front of the right people. Most people think that there's like some magical secret to raising capital, and it's really just a numbers game. Just like if you are a wholesaler, you know how many people you have to get on the phone to get a yes. It's the exact same thing, but most people get discouraged because they talk to their family, their friends, and people who don't necessarily get it.
Who all told us no from the start.
Exactly. That's not your audience. There are plenty of people who do this on a normal basis where they are allocating capital because they just want a return on the money. They don't want it to sit somewhere not making any money, and they may like the cause. Like a lot of what I'm involved with has impact. So, affordable housing, workforce housing, bringing grocery to food deserts, that kind of stuff. And it strikes a nerve with a lot of people who completely get it. And they're like, I want to be involved with this. I want to help you further this cause and make a return. This is awesome.
But what happens is, though, we Google how to raise capital.
Yes.
Right. And it starts to go into all this special stuff. So it makes you stop.
Yeah.
Do you simplify it enough to where when I'm talking to you, I want to go to now, let's go. I'm talking to you. I did my initial consultation. Now I want to go to B. I'm ready to get started.
Yes.
Do you make it simple enough for that?
So that's a good question. I wonder if I do or not. For the most part, I just say, all right, I'm going to help you create a model. So the biggest issue I think most people have is they've not really thought through what they're going to do with the money and how it's going to make a return for themselves and for others. So once we create that model, it's easier to say like, hey, I'm going to have your money for 5 years. You're going to most likely make a 20% return over the an IRR, which is internal rate of return. That's annually. So now I've doubled your money in 5 years. Not very many people who already invest will have a problem with that. Gotcha. The issue that I think that most people run into blocks is they don't talk to people who invest. They talk to people who have money, but they don't talk to people who invest. And so I am a low-hanging fruit person. And my entire goal around 2023 is to bring more people who look like me to the table, to the passive side of the cap table, to be making money because I've made enough rich people more money. But that comes with an educational push, right? Like I have to take them through the steps of what it looks like, how to like spot the difference between an opportunity and a grifter and all that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing is like, they're not my first go-to. My first go-to is somebody who I know allocates money every year already a few $1 million, and they completely already understand the process.
What is that person, though, when you say that's your kind of first go-to? What do they look for? Like, what is the norm? Is it a certain minimum percentage? What's a good percentage return per year? I posted this the other day, and I got a lot of pushback.
The percentage return per year is based on the risk that they're taking. Okay. So if it's development and we're just at papered lots, I'm going to need a much bigger return than if you're flipping a house that's down the street. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or if you are buying a company that's already cash flowing, yes. The difference in the return is is completely based on the risk and the amount of time that my money will be locked up with you. Do I have an option to get some back? Am I getting some sort of dividend every month, or every quarter, every year? Or are you just saying, I'm going to pay you in 10? And so that's also why venture capital, which is the sexiest thing right now, everybody is, when they invest in venture, they're looking for 1,000x returns because it's the highest risk profile.
But those are things where that's probably not real estate for the most part, like a piece of dirt.
No.
Just because we can't give back, you can only give back so much on a deal.
Exactly. But see, most people are selling real estate improperly. Real estate.
There we go.
Real estate sale is on the tax benefits because from just a pure return standpoint, real estate can be beat by a lot of stuff.
Correct.
But because the IRS loves real estate, you are going to get the most tax benefit from having real estate or something else that has a tax credit. And so I go to people who have really, really high tax liabilities and say, hey, if you owed $400,000 and I could wipe that away for you because you invested in this deal, would that be appealing to you? Now you're getting basically returns on free money because you're going to pay it to the government anyway.
So you understand taxes too.
So the nuance about giving anybody financial advice is that you need to understand the implications of what it's going to do to them from a tax standpoint, from a cash flow and like budgeting standpoint, because most people are just like, yeah, I understand financial literacy and I should be doing things. But I'm like, yeah, but like if you already have a few $100 million, like not $100 million, but let's say you have a few $1 million and you make income, you probably shouldn't flip houses. But that's just because it's short-term gains and it's going to get eaten up in taxes. So there are those sorts of things that you sort of on the go, you get deeper into. I actually enjoy tax law because it's rules and I like rules. Give me a box. I'm going to figure out how to fit everything in the box. That's why I like securities law.
Yes.
The other thing I focused on in law school was land use, which I think is like the one underused thing of that most real estate investors don't use enough, and that's title arbitrage. So not title arbitrage, the zoning arbitrage. Okay. So all land use is I assembled a couple pieces that used to be houses, and I decided that I have, like the city says, if you have this much, you can go before the board and ask for the zoning to be changed.
Go from residential to multifamily.
That's right.
Multifamily to commercial, industrial.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the land that my great-grandparents bought in the 20s, right? And they knocked the house down in the 80s, and we've just had this raw land forever. We assembled a couple more parcels to it, got the zoning changed to commercial, got the density up so that because we're going to do workforce housing. And so now we're going to build 108 units on it. So like,
what is workforce housing? I'm sorry. I want to make sure I understand what workforce housing is.
Okay. So workforce housing is housing that is priced for people who are nurses, teachers, police officers, firefighters, so they can live in the communities that they work in.
Probably that make below $50,000 a year.
They make below what market rate costs.
Okay.
So most of them are priced into moving out of town of where they actually work. And so workforce housing is built to allow you a subsidy. Most of the time it's density boosts in what you're building so that you can afford to allow some people to pay a little less.
So how does that work though? Do you get some kind of incentives from the government or the city or the county so that you can? Because like right now over the past 2 years, the price of material has been crazy. Labor, it's the same labor, but they said, hey, since the price of material went up, we got to go up.
Yeah.
Price of land went up. So how does that work? How can you make that work without governmental assistance?
So, yeah, that most people do it with some sort of like private public partnership. Okay. So they're going to the city, they're going to the county, they're going to the state and looking for the resources because almost every place has an affordability issue. So it doesn't really matter if you're in the city, out of the city, jobs are not keeping up with the pace of the cost of real estate. And so
as an investor in a project like that, would I expect low returns or high returns? And when I say low, maybe under 8%.
High.
High.
Yeah. So that particular project is going to cost about $36 million to build, including
100 units,
108 units.
Okay.
But on refinance, it should be worth around 54. So at stabilization, we should be able to get people back very close to almost 2x in 3 years. So that's like huge.
That's really huge.
Yeah, but a part of that is using subsidies from the government, okay. And because HUD has some subsidies as well. there's a lot that can be done with just knowing a little bit. And so like, I'm a super nerd. So like when I find out something, I'm super like dived in and like I have to go down the rabbit hole to figure out all the nuances to it. And then most of the time it'll talk me out of doing things. But like sometimes it'll be like, oh, that's the one. That's how you're going to make it all work. And so I think that people don't like affordable housing or workforce housing and things like that because they've associated with like poverty
Poor
and
people.
terrible.
We don't understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people don't understand it. How much land will the 108 units sit on?
A little under 2 acres.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's dense.
How many stories is that going to be?
It is going to be 12.
12. With any retail or just straight?
It has 3 retail at the bottom.
So, I'm like really feeling I want to see it. So when is groundbreaking?
Most likely. So we are about halfway done with the raise. So we were raising $12 million in equity, okay. And we've got about $6 million committed already. And we can break ground with that, but also it's been kind of cold. So we're sort of pushing it out.
Is that project where? What city?
Miami.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Oh, we really into the high real estate.
Yeah, that's why it's so high for 108 units.
Yeah, it is. So what kind of average rents will you be getting since it's the workforce?
Yeah, so basically workforce in this particular building is just a set aside. So we have 10% of the units that are set aside, and they'll be for around 1,800. The rest will be market rent, and they're between 2,200 and 2,800.
It's not bad though. I'm just saying.
It's not Brickell either. So we're talking about.
Oh, you over there on that side of Miami,
right? We on the side of Miami. Don't nobody talk about.
But that'll start more growth though, wouldn't it? Yes. A new building, 12 stories,
and there's a hospital being built over there. There's a lot of other things going on around it, which is sort of everybody's goal. You want to be in the path of progress. Yes. You don't necessarily want to build where the things are already happening, because then it's going to be super smack you over the head expensive.
Yeah, a guy called us one day. He was like, "Yeah, I want $10 million for this plot of land." We was like, $10 million? What can you put on it? But it was in Miami. Yeah. We figured out where it was. It was on a really good strip next to a hotel, and you had the rights to build a hotel on it, and that's why he is selling to a market of people who don't care about making returns. Correct. And there's some people out there like that. Yeah. So if you're bringing a lot of people who invest in South Florida specifically are bringing money from other countries. And so if you're just trying to get the money out, and you might get a visa in the process, as long as I don't lose money, I'm cool. I got my money out. To a good place because it could be unstable and I might lose it all if I leave it in the country that I'm in. So there's a lot of that. And so when I said earlier I'm in real estate by force, it's because my dad is a developer, and I used to have to sit in his office and send FedEx and faxes when I was a child. So did you benefit from that though? Any kind of way? What was the benefit? Oh, the benefit is that I am a complete sponge about a lot of things. Like I gained a lot of knowledge in the situation. I still didn't want to do it, but it had a lot of value. Especially because my dad thinks that he's the brain and that I'm Pinky. So he's always like, yeah, you should go get this license. You need to go there. Like that's dads always know best. That's what he said. And he always loves when I come back a couple years later, like, yeah, Dad, that was right. I'm glad you know what's crazy? I remember I've been at it 28 years, and my dad made everybody, all the siblings, everybody go get a real estate license. Yeah. And some of us kept it, some of us didn't. But then I can remember conversations that we would have, and this is, 29 years ago. And when I got started, I was like, he don't know what he's talking about. And then some days when I'm riding now, like 20-something years later, I'm like, God, he was right. Listen, I have come to the conclusion at this point that sometimes people see things in you that you can't see in yourself yet. So you just have to sit and listen, but also
pay attention to things that have worked in the past, because you don't have to like. My best new saying is, you don't get bonus points for doing things the hard way.
You're right. You're right. Listen, I remember my dad. This was 2001 or 2. I was building, probably the first time I was building a house and not renovating a house. Mm-hmm. He was like, "Don't build a big house. Build small houses." I'm like, man, whatever, man. Nobody building small houses. Now look at what.
Yeah.
Look at all the plots of land in Atlanta, city of Atlanta, for me, that we could have picked up for 10, 15 grand that are now 150 grand.
Really?
Yeah. Because inside of Atlanta, inside of the perimeter, prior to like 96 through 2000, it was on sale. Nobody wanted, not that nobody wanted to be here. It's always been a great city. But after the 96 Olympics, we exploded.
That actually was my first purview into the idea of going to the Olympics. Not that I thought that I was going to go at the time. I was like 10. But I was an unaccompanied minor who traveled alone. So I had a little tag on my neck, and the people have to walk you through the airport. And they happened to also have to walk Stevie Wonder through the airport. He was doing the opening ceremony for the Olympics. And that's when I first found out what it was. And Alan Johnson won the 110 hurdles, and he's from Virginia. So, I was like,
You was excited.
What?
Right into it.
What?
Back to this capital raising. Mm-hmm. You know it. The finances, the taxes, the legal side. So you a triple threat.
Yes.
All right. So when I come to you, I just want to make sure I'm clear, because most of us, our weakness is, 1, organization, but 2, raising the capital.
Yes.
I'm not organized. I got the social proof. I got the receipts. But when I come to you, will you help us really organize? Let's say I'm super great. I am, but let's say I'm super great at this thing.
Yes.
Right. Do you really help us want to raise the capital, organize, make sure the legal documents? So all I got to do is bring me, and
all you have to do is the thing.
The thing that I do.
Yes. So you do the thing, and I'm going to handle everything else. I build the team for you. I handle legal, compliance, investor relations, capital raising, fund administration, everything.
Wow.
Make sure that you are solid and that all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Are you my attorney, or are we partners?
Partners. So the company that does this is Premier Deal Partners.
Okay.
And all we look for are great operators, and we become their partner in a managing entity, and we share in the risk and reward of the deal. So it has a lot of faith in it, but so I only work with 8 people a year, groups a year. And it's super selective because I have to put a lot of effort into building the teams and making sure it works. And it's partially like a marriage, because most of these deals will last between 3 and 10 years.
How do you determine that? Are these all real estate deals, or some of them other business type deals?
I'd say I'm 80-20 real estate, and that's just by comfort. And it's not all real estate specifically. So I am a partner with a fund that does non-performing notes, which I think is the best place to be right now. Especially if you love real estate, because you'll probably get into some really good deals at a low basis. But so either the notes or real estate, that's the heavier side, and the other side is rolling up companies, especially legacy companies or solopreneurs.
Legacy companies are companies like second generation or something like that.
Yeah, not even. So let's say you 28 years and you run a brokerage.
Yes.
And you work by yourself, but you got a couple agents, I would buy that.
Got you.
Yeah. So, and roll that up into a company that can be big enough to resell. So I work with a couple of companies that are rolling up e-com stores. One is rolling up YouTube channels.
Okay.
Media is huge. So
media is huge. Yeah. But 80-20 real estate.
Yeah.
So I'm a real estate. I'm all real estate. I've dibbled and dabbled, but I have same thing. 2023 is about growing, understanding how to raise more capital, partnering with folks like you to do bigger deals, having more doors. So as an operator, what is that called? Is it a partnership? Is it a syndication? What is that? Because I hear syndication so much. What is a syndication, and what's the difference between a syndication and what you do?
So there is no difference. So a syndication in general terms is the raising of capital for a specific known deal. One specific known deal.
Okay.
So whether that is, it could be one business, it could be, but like most people don't look at real estate like a business, but it really is buying a business. And so that one apartment complex can be a syndication. It just means that you're raising money from multiple people using securities exemption to do so, which could either be crowdfunding, which most people have heard a little bit about, but they don't completely understand, because you can raise up to $5 million a year from anybody, but through a platform. And then, or a Regulation D raise, which there are two different types. One you can advertise and one you cannot. Okay. So there are a little bit of nuances to it, but the overarching thing is that you are getting small chunks of money from people who will not be involved in the business and will not make decisions. So I think a lot of people steer away. Well, there are a few reasons, but a lot of people steer away from raising capital because they think that they're going to have to answer to someone. And the truth is that you don't really want to take money. You have to date the people that you're going to take money from, but you want to take money from people. You want to have them be partners and understand that you are the boss. This is your show. You know what's going on more than them. You don't be a good doctor and come over here and try and tell me how to run the real estate thing. That's not good. But, you know, you keep them involved and you have an open line of communication with them, but they're not going to be trying to tell you how to run the business.
So when you put together, you already have everything in place. So when an operator or somebody that's good at what they do come to you, you basically take what they have and make it pretty and go get the money.
Yes.
And all they got to do is keep operating.
That's right.
Wow. You made it sound easy. I mean, literally, because I've looked at, honestly, I've been online and I'm grateful that we met back in June down at the conference. But I've been online looking at different conferences, watching YouTube, which, you know, we're always going to do. But it's always still seems so difficult because when you talk to somebody else, you're really simplifying this. When you talk to other people or attorneys, they act like attorneys.
Of course, but they've never raised money.
And that's the problem.
Of course. Everything in every business is like that. There is a bunch of siloed things that make it all work, and nobody does the other thing. That's why real estate agents don't know nothing about mortgages. Why mortgage people don't know what real estate agents really do or what title companies do.
Yes.
Why builders don't know what's going on the title side. Like, it's so many. Everybody has a little thing, and I think that my superpower has been that, like, I'm sort of a nerd, and then like I number one have a really good foundation of people around me. So like my dad's a developer, my cousin's a builder, we own a mortgage company, my grandfather owns Orange Groves, like, and he's been in a bunch of businesses. So it's sort of like having a lot of conversations, and then you like add it, and you're like, okay, you go to law school because you need to get this little piece so you can understand the nuances of the raise.
So that's real generational wealth, though. I just heard you say your grandfather was doing something and did a few things, but you saw it, heard it, felt it, smelt it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Your dad does something, and then they guided you to doing something else that can help back up 3 generations.
Yes. And so it's so funny because my father is like the hardest person to deal with. He's like, I'm pretty much the only person who like can deal with him day to day. So like I'm the buffer that speaks to everybody else.
Yes.
And so my grandfather always calls and he says, so how y'all getting along? And I'm like,
he knows his son.
Day by day. But over time, the best part about being in a generational business or even just being around each other is learning to gain respect for the other's opinion. Because I think we all lose that at some point where you're just like, my dad don't know nothing, or like my kids don't know nothing because they haven't experienced things in the way that you have. And everybody has a little, like I get advice from like people that most people would never get advice from, because everybody can have a valuable input, even if everything about them is not the most desirable thing. Like, you don't have to be aspirational to have a valuable gem or a valuable input and be like,
and that's where a lot of people mess up right now. They only want to listen to the person that has 1 million followers.
Yeah.
And then when they realize that person's great, no knock on them, but I'm probably not going to get 1 million followers.
Yeah.
And
you don't need 1 million.
I don't need 1 million followers.
And like having 1 million followers just sounds like a nightmare. I've been on social media forever, and people know me for different things. I was on the show, The Amazing Race, and whatever, and that has a lot of followers, which I had never even seen the show before I was on the show.
So let me, because I don't want to go past that. So you were on for 1 season?
Yes.
1 season. What was that like?
It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Why?
Because I am very A-type, very controlling, I run my day and my time and all of that. The entire show is around putting pressure and chaos in your life. So like, we'll just be sitting in the airport and they're like, all right, we about to go. And then here's the clue, and it's like a mile away. And like, all of these things are happening and you're around a bunch of people who you don't know, but you happen to be with your one friend. And
that was your real friend.
Yeah. So I did, my partner was Kelly Wells, Kelly Wells Brinkley, and she and I were high school rivals, college teammates. We trained for the Olympics together, and I lived with her while she was going through postpartum, because her husband played in the NFL, and she had the baby right during
How
training
did y'all
camp.
get on the show?
So at the time, I owned a PR firm with my other cousin, and we had a bunch of, like, we had contracts with Viacom to do like Love and Hip Hop and what's the other one? Black Ink Crew and all that. And so they called, like, I got a call about if I would be interested in doing Survivor, and I'm like, "Ooh, child, I'm not no Survivor. I ain't been outside.
Survivor rough.
I don't know how to cook nothing outside if it ain't no grill. Like, I don't have none of these skills." And they're like, "Oh, but we think you'd be like really good for The Amazing Race." And I pitched to do it with somebody else, and they were like, "Nah, that's not interesting." And I thought about her, and we make a perfect team because we're very similar, expressed different, which is like, most people don't realize that you can really be friends with people who are nothing like you, but for mutual respect. So like, she's over the top, like, oh my God, everything. And I'm just like, all right, just chill. It'll be fine.
So you got on the show.
Yeah.
And how long was it? Like, how many weeks, episodes?
So you shoot over a 6-week period. And during that time, you don't have any contact with the outside world. So no phones, no internet, no nothing.
What do you mean?
Nothing. They take it all. We don't have no money, nothing. They take it. And
wow. This is different.
Yeah. So you're living in your own Amazing Race bubble. You're really racing. You're just with your partner and your, film crew and all that. But like, the part about it that was hardest for me was the first 4 days you don't bathe. You don't take a bath? No. We ran, we swam, we went in a cave. We was doing all kind of disgusting stuff.
That's kind of rough.
It was rough. You talking about 11 groups of 22 stank people in a small place. It's got to be the hardest.
Oh, y'all still stayed in one place?
So we would like sleep in the airport in the room. We slept in a cave in a room together, like in sleeping bags side by side. And then, I ain't going to say that it's real WPS, but it really is WPS for you to just be touching a strange cave dog in our sleeping space. So,
I got you.
The few of us who were not, we were like, take a dog from over here.
So 4 days, no bath.
Yeah.
What did y'all eat?
We had like, they give you enough money on every leg. So like, only what they want you to have though. So like, it might be $30. And then some people went and ate good.
You gotta have some Popeyes.
Yeah. We gonna share a 3-piece. We gotta make this money last. You don't know if you gotta take a cab or something. So
wow.
It's very much a great adventure to go around the world and do it with your best friend. And
would you do it again?
They asked me, and I said no.
Yeah, because you literally were not able to talk to anybody. Like, you couldn't call dad and say, "Hey, dad, I'm okay."
No, they have somebody like production calls your family and says you're still alive. That's it.
No, I need proof of life. That ain't working for me. I need to talk to my daughter. Like,
and they've all signed. Like, so your entire family has to sign like an NDA. They can't tell anybody you're on the show, that you're filming.
you got paid to be on the show, or so? Okay, so you did get paid.
Yeah.
Okay, and did it help with anything else that you were doing, like your business?
I feel like if I was selling something, it might have, but like at the time, I mean, I have a mortgage company, so I guess I could have said that. But like in general, I don't sell a consumer product, so like I'm a securities attorney, and I help people raise money. To the 17 million people who just watch it every day, like that's not. It doesn't connect. Yeah,
they don't work for them. And we don't really understand that. If I'm watching it and they say she's a security attorney, I'm just like, she's just really smart. Who cares? I mean, that's really what people go, when you say securities attorney.
I really got to find another word, because other people introduce me as an SEC attorney, and I'm like.
That's really like, oh man, you really, like, either I'm going to feel like you like the police attorney, or you like the SEC, Georgia, Alabama, Florida type attorney, the Southeastern Conference. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
so funny.
So one of those.
Yeah.
So so you've been on.
So I got to find a new word, because I feel like, when you're talking to people and you watch them, eyes glazed, and you're like, I lost them.
I think you should say, I'm a get money attorney. I'm a money attorney.
I am.
Like, literally, make it real simple.
I can get you both sides of the capital stack. That's my whole thing. Debt and equity. What
so
you
can get me, man. So you can get me debt through your mortgage company. Mm-hmm. What kind of debt though? Like $100,000?
No.
Like up to what?
Probably 50 million easily, but like anything bigger than that, I have a couple partners that I can like tap into, who go to bigger funds and stuff like that. But like our average deal size is somewhere around 5 million. But we can go as low as 75,000. So like we do rental houses in St. Louis all the time, Baltimore, that kind of stuff. But like,
can you go 50,000?
No, and I've been telling people, I've told 6 or 7 different people who have groups and all that, they need to raise a fund so they can lend to their own people, because there's nobody lending in the 20 to 75 range, because it doesn't make any sense to do it if
from a points perspective.
It doesn't make any sense to do it unless you're focused on it and you have a built-in audience. Like, I'm not going to go out and advertise to people who want to do $50,000 houses, but like.
So that's one of the reasons why we're working together in 2023, right?
Yeah.
That's really frustrating, because one, getting a traditional mortgage under $75,000 is tough. So the poor stay poor. In places where you can buy a house, like you got tenants that pay $750 on average.
Yeah.
But they can buy a house for $35,000 and put 10 in it.
Yeah.
But there's no way for them to buy it unless they save up cash, and that's not gonna happen.
Right.
Right. Then you got places like you say, St. Louis, Detroit, Cleveland. I mean, places where you can be all in a duplex under 80,000, maybe 90,000, but the mortgage is going to be 65,000.
Right.
Nobody's going to finance it.
That's right.
I mean, we got creative ways to do it, but it's still, we need somebody that you can go to and do it on a regular basis.
That's why you got to create your own fund and service a community that you are sure knows what they're doing. Like that's the sort of nuance to it, but because it's a business purpose loan, like I wouldn't do it for people to live in the houses per se.
Correct.
Maybe you could do it as like seller financing when you resell it to somebody, but like if you do it only for business purpose, there's no like maximum amount of points you can charge.
So let's
do a minimum.
Can we talk through this one?
Yeah.
So I come to you, and this is me talking to you. Mm-hmm. I can get 100 investors right now that can find a great deal that cash flows under $100,000. Right? They need to buy it at 40 and put 50 in it.
Okay.
Right now, it's truly not a place to go to get that loan.
Right.
What do you tell me? Come on, let's walk through the process. So we're going to partner on it, or are you going to just make me start my own fund?
Are you going to operate it? See, I tell people to do this and they want me to operate it and raise the money.
No, I'm going to operate it. You raise the money.
All right. Okay, so this is what you're going to do.
Here we go.
All right. So if you say you got 100 people, so I typically work backwards. So if you can, how many loans can you service per month? Like, okay, let's say
we do 10 a month.
We do 10 a month, and 10 is 100,000. No, we're gonna say they 50,000 or 70.
Let's go 75,000.
All right, bet 75,000. That's 750,000.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you only need to raise like $2 million.
Why? Because how are we gonna turn those loans?
So you're gonna package them and you're gonna sell all 10 of those to another investor.
That's the part where a lot of people don't want to touch it, though, right?
Yeah, but see, you're gonna sell it to. We're gonna sell it within our own network. So people who are just looking for the income, the installments, because these are not paper loans, so they're not going to be 4%. They're going to be like 8% loans or whatever. Making 8% a month on the money, most people are okay with that.
8% a year.
8% a year.
Oh, I said a month. Jesus,
Yeah.
we're gonna really get
loan
paid.
Sharks. But no, you're going to charge a minimum fee.
So would we be a fund, or would be a fund that's a private hard money lender?
Yeah.
We would be a fund.
And I don't want it to be called a hard money lender. I feel like that's overplayed. It's just a fund that does
lending.
Small loans for business purpose.
How long would it take for us to get that up and running?
12 days.
From what? Start to finish?
Yeah.
But then we got to go out and get the capital.
$2 million, I could do that. So I did this last year, 2020. 21. Wait, when will we close? 21.
We would never close here.
True. So I was in New York and it was closed. Like I was outside, I was scared.
It was different.
And I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and he typically raises money by crowdfunding. So he raises about $5 million a year. From his own community though. So they're putting in $25 to $75 and they do development in Philly. So we were having a conversation about it and he's like, you think you got the juice. I want to see what you could do. Can you raise $1 million within your network right now to do loans? And I said, that's actually something I'm really passionate about. I wanna help builders I want to bring more builders in. Mm-hmm. And so my stipulation for these loans will be, I will fund 100% of the cost of construction, but you have to bring an apprentice and teach them everything about the process
from the builder.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to give me 100%
mm-hmm.
of purchasing and construction, mm-hmm. but I need to bring in somebody from wherever that's going to learn this business.
Yes. That's my one stipulation. So I said, I sent out a text message to 25 people. I said, I'm taking $100,000 from the first 10 people that replied that they're in. I got 17 replies in 10 minutes. And I got wires from 12.
1.2, 10 minutes, hour, whatever.
Yeah.
That's all right.
And then I did the legal work after.
You made it come together the right way.
Yeah. So basically, I am a person who completely believes that you got to sort of slow walk into a raise. So you want to get soft commitments in advance of like doing a lot of legal work so that you know that you're going in the right direction of what the audience you already have. Obviously you can go out and do like cold audience, but that like takes longer. Okay. That's why you'll see people raising for like 3 years and things like that, is because they went in cold and wanted a lot. So it's just not my strategy, but so we can do this 12 days. Yeah.
Between what we got going on, we can start lending or partnering with properties under 75,000.
Yes.
That's easy. We should just start today. Okay. All right. I'm glad we're there. So that is, I come to you. I got my idea. We know we want stuff under 75,000. You can go out there and raise the money and put the paperwork together. I just got to operate.
That's right.
That's it. So you're looking for great operators to fit your model.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I realized that I don't love anything. Okay. I love being a puzzle person. I'm a puzzle person. Don't give me nothing blank. Like we bought apartments in 2017 because at the time I was like, I want to be the largest operator of apartments in America.
What happened?
In the South, I want to have 30,000 units. Okay, we had like 6 Monday meetings, like, oh, turnover and, make readies and all that. I'm like, ooh, child, I don't want to do this every Monday. And this is just like not my thing. But I am okay at like finding deals, but there are people who are much better at it. I am decent in negotiating, but there are people who are better at it. I am really good at creating models, underwriting, and going out and delivering that and connecting that with people who have capital.
So that's your superpower.
That's my superpower.
Gotcha.
And so I'm like, I can get to 30,000 by partnering with other people. I don't need.
I like that though. Yeah. So you basically take what we say. I come to you, take what I say, you translate it so that the people that have the capital understand what I'm saying. Yes. And you stay in the middle.
Yes.
You just made it really easy.
Even though 2023, I'm telling you, I'm doing a 50 city tour because 50 cities.
That's
because
one a week.
Last year, I'm probably gonna just try and do them like back to back. I don't want to drag it out like that. I got a little baby. But last year before last, on average, Black investors in anything that I did was 2%. I have to get that up. I think that's ridiculous.
To your funds.
Yes.
But isn't that like the norm? When you start talking about like commercial real estate, anything commercial, is really, they said 1% still. We're still under 2% as investors, even as owners and investors across the world. Yes,
but that's just because we're not being intentional about making sure that we're included. Because when what we're talking about is private raises. And so private raises is a who you know thing.
Okay.
And so if you don't bank with UBS, who's raising $100 million for Blackstone or something like that, and you have $100 million in the account for them to pick and choose you, then you're only exposed to whoever you know is raising money. And so, I mean, I go to a lot of conferences and stuff like that, so I know a lot of people raising money, and I'm like, that's why I will start this podcast this year, just bringing together people who are giving access to people who are raising capital, but also giving access to opportunities to people who have capital.
When you starting the podcast?
When you help me.
I got you.
But I do have a newsletter that does that already. But like, newsletters are not as connectable. You know how few people read my emails?
No, nobody opens emails. I mean, most people don't even open it. You got about a 60% maybe. If you're really good, maybe 70% of the people open them.
I feel like I'm not really good, but I'm like nice to people. So like, they'll open my emails and just be like, okay.
So why don't you send it out in a video? Why don't you just say it and then send out the email with you talking?
I'm going to do that too. But I really feel like the real medium to get to people is short form video and just having conversations around why there's value in being a passive investor. Most people don't even realize they can be, should be, or that it's not something their financial advisor is doing for them.
You know, one of the challenges is everybody says that 8 to 10% is not enough return as a passive investor. They want 75%. Some dudes say he do 8% a month passively. I'm like, Jesus,
because he doesn't do it passively. He's confused.
Oh.
People are confusing what you can make actively in a business with what you can make passively as an investor.
That's still a lot though, 8% a month.
8% a month is a lot.
It
period.
Is.
Like, I mean, the only place I see that is like Forex, but that's super volatile, and you're supposed to get that, see, risk reward. Super volatile, you make money. But at the same time, I see way more people lose money than make money.
Yeah.
And so, you went up 25% and you went down 52%. Like, that's terrible.
I don't understand it. I'm real estate for the rest of my life, seriously. Yeah, and I mean physical real estate. Yeah. Even when people were talking about the metaverse, I was like, I don't understand it, y'all. I just, I get it, but I don't get it. So I just stay away from it.
I am very much an allocator. I am pretty heavy on the real estate side just because I understand it more, and I want my tax, because I'm still active in businesses, so I like, my income is still pretty good, so I want to offset, whatever. But the bigger thing is like, everybody should be looking at their portfolio as buckets of allocation. And so it's not like a do this, not this. It's like it's like a buffet. You could do all things. Because even when I was an active investor, I was still passively investing with others. And telling people they should always passively invest with others, because like, who wants to work? And anybody who thinks that they're getting, well, it's a pretty, my way of saying that you're not going to get that is pretty crass. But I'm basically like, we don't sell drugs or women. So, there are no, like, we're not flipping anything. It's just more like,
get that kind of return.
Yeah, I am a, base hits kind of person. Like, you keep hitting base hits, you're going to be good. And if you use the right mechanisms, like.
Yeah, I talked to so many people. Like, I may post a deal where you're going to be all in at like 80,000, but you're going to get $1,400 a month. And people are like, man, that's not good enough. And I'm like, where y'all buying stuff at? Like, I want to see, because what are you supposed to be doing? Comparing this to Airbnb models? Like, what are you getting from those kind? Because I know you're going to educate more people being passive, but what are you seeing when you talk to people about like investing? What kind of deals they're buying? What kind of returns are they getting?
Well, and so the funny thing is most people that I know are like, oh, I'm down to my, see, and this is the money that I don't take. I'm down to my last 100,000. I need you to turn it into $1 million. I don't have those tricks. I don't know what those tricks are. I don't know who's doing that. Like, you can do that with a business, but you're going to have to run that business, or you're going to have to create a team to run that business. That's a business growth.
Yes.
That's not an investor's growth. But I also I'm super like on the side of telling people most of where your focus needs to be is on earning, and then taking those earnings and investing it.
Passive.
Yeah. And then that's working and you're working. And then it's like growing at the same time. It's like a snowball.
Like it should be.
Yeah.
One thing you said was you do, and I know we went down, started talking about the fund. I'm excited about that. But you own a mortgage company, and you're an attorney, and you do partnerships. The mortgage company can get me loans from 75 to 50 million plus. How hard is it for me to qualify for let's say I'm going out buying an apartment building for $8 million loan? Do they look at me as a person? Do they look at departments? Which is more important? When I come to you today, I got a great deal. It's got a very good cap rate. It's got good return, got some upside, these minor repairs. Do you look at that apartment building first, or you look at me first?
Okay, so everything in lending is a three-legged stool. If it's got 2 legs, you will be able to qualify. If you got 3 legs, you'll get good rates.
So explain that to me.
All right. So we look at the deal. Does the thing generate enough income to cover the debt?
Okay.
And it needs to be above 20% typically. I mean, we can do it below, but I don't let.
So when you say it needs to be, because I want to make sure it needs to be, say if my debt is $5,000, it needs to be at least generating $6,000. That's 20% of.
Yes. Or
let's say $6,500.
Yes.
So that's enough to cover the debt.
Yes.
Okay.
So all right, that's the bare minimums,
okay.
Right? Then you have financial strength of the sponsor. So financial strength is what's on your personal balance sheet, what's your credit like, that sort of thing.
Okay.
You don't have to be this person. If you don't have it, you can always partner with somebody, especially if the loan is big enough, like $8 million, we can typically get you a non-recourse loan. Mm-hmm. So as long as you don't do any fraud, nothing is going to happen if you happen to go in.
What is non-recourse?
Non-recourse means you're not a personal guarantor on the loan. So you're going to sign it because someone in the company has to sign the documents. But if the property happens to go into foreclosure, they will not go after you personally for the debt.
Okay.
Very important because, but so the piece about that is we have some programs that don't have net worth requirements and some do. Okay. So if you want the best terms, it'll have net worth requirements, which means that your net worth has to be equal to or greater than the loan amount. You don't have to have that. I have lots of athletes that sign loans for people all the time.
So they're considered sponsors?
Loan sponsors.
Loan sponsors, okay.
So your loan sponsor is going to get a small amount of the equity in your deal, and they'll come in and they'll sign this non-recourse debt. That's how I actually bring a lot of athletes into deals, because I want them to get low risk introduction into swimming. You cannot swim from the sidelines. You have to be involved. But I don't want you to have to like be in a super risky position to do so. So loan sponsor, easy way. So that's the financial side. So
that's 2 legs.
That's 2 legs.
All right.
The other leg is now you made me forget. Hold on. Oh no, credit. So wait, credit. Financial and then credit.
Okay.
Credit isn't super important. We go as low as 500. Like, we really don't care about credit so much. Okay. It's what's on the report. So as long as you've not like short sold something recently, or if you've been in a bankruptcy, what kind of bankruptcy, what was discharged, like that, you kind of get nuanced in there. But like score, the best score available is 720. Anything above that, you get no bonus points. You're gonna get the same grade. Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
The basically 720 is perfect, and everything else is like, oh great, you got 800. We don't care.
So with the 3-legged method, what are we gonna call it?
Yeah.
If I got 2 legs, we can get a deal done.
So if you got, credit goes in financial. I'm wrong. It's experience.
Okay.
3 is experience. Experience, we're going to look at your resume, your track record, what you've been doing in the past. Obviously, this is another thing you can bring a partner on for. And so a lot of the time, the way I tell people to structure their company is you have a person who's strong financially, you have a person who's strong experience-wise, and then you have a great deal, you get a great rate. Now, if the person who's strong in experiences has bad credit or bad financials, they need to be below 20% owner in that company. But how you break down the profit and how you break down the equity don't have to be equal, so it doesn't matter.
So as long as the person that's owns less than 20%, they don't have to go on the loan, or you don't look at them on the loan?
We don't pull their financials.
You put a credit though?
No.
So you don't do any, you just look at their experience and that's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, anybody under 20%. So, it's an important nuance for the people who, like, everybody got a partner. You're like, why your partner don't be paying their bills? But, like, so that is the thing. But so if you have great experience and you have great financials, the deal can be underwater. Like, let's say you buying something that's not stable and you're trying to make it stable, but you have great experience and you got some great capital, financials. You know?
Yes.
That's a done deal. It's easy.
How long does it take to close these deals on average right now?
45 days.
45 days. Appraisal taking a long time.
Yeah. So most of that is like appraisal title. Like, everybody's sort of, well, now they're not as busy, but they were busy.
Yeah, they were.
But like anything that's like, and that's like on the commercial side.
Okay.
Anything residential is 14 days or so. 14
to 28 days, depending on, again, that appraisal is making it happen. Yeah. So let me make sure I'm hearing you correct. I can come to you and I got a great deal. You can help me get the debt, the loan, and the equity. So really, the ideal person is a great operator that can find great deals.
Yes.
What about if I'm a great operator, but you got a deal that you really don't want? Do you have those sometimes?
All the time.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of opportunity, because like when you're a person who just talks and goes to a bunch of conferences and you speak at conferences, people give you a lot of stuff. But the hard part for me has been picking and choosing. Like, because a lot of the operators that I know are like either super geographically focused, yes, or like something like that. So then, like, if it doesn't fall, I'm like, oh, I don't know anybody there. But that's like, oh, it's a smoking
in
deal.
Virginia.
Yeah.
If your operator's in Florida, but the property's in Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like there are markets like Ohio that I would never invest in unless I knew the person and they lived there and they like, because the issue with Ohio is there is no professional management companies that
it's different. We got a couple now. We got a couple now, so we're gonna get over that.
That's a business that you should probably buy and like build.
The property management company. Yeah.
In Ohio, like everybody has the exact same issue there.
Yeah, it's tough. It has been tough, but we do have a couple now. A few. I'm gonna say that. So wow, this is been great. I can talk real estate all day, but one of the most important things is us having enough capital. A lot of us don't get into it, and I know we can wholesale, but we don't understand that next level. We don't understand how do you syndicate a deal. We don't understand how, because you just make that easy. The 3-legged method, the experience, the deal, and then the financials. If you got 2 of those, if I got the experience and the deal, you can help us find the financials.
Yeah.
The right financial partner.
If the deal is good enough and you have the experience, the financials can be finessed.
Okay.
It's good enough. So that's what I'm saying. If you got 2, you just can't only have 1. And most people only have 1. Like, I'm like.
But you got to partner with somebody that has another.
You can partner with some. People don't be liking partners. I don't have all the answers. I just say, hey, this is what you need. I told you, I give rules, and I want people to come back inside the box. People be coming back outside the box and be like,
nothing you can do for them.
No, there's nothing I could do for this. Because the deal isn't strong enough for your financials and your experience.
How can we help you promote this? I know you say you got 50 cities. That's a lot. Hopefully I can join you on a couple, right? Woo! But 50 cities, how else can we help promote this? What should we be doing? We still got a couple of days left in 2022, going into 2023. What should we be doing?
Dreaming bigger.
Dreaming bigger.
You cannot. So I have a mentor, and he's an older Black guy, and he only does master plan development. The deal has to be at least $2 billion or so. And I said, what made you start doing such big projects? Like, what in the world?
That's
and
huge.
He's like, it's just more zeros. It's not more complicated. It's not harder. It's going to take the exact same amount of time. It's your belief in the ability to do something that makes it real. So then as soon as I started saying, I really prefer to do projects where the minimum equity raises $1 million, that's all I did. And it just became a thing. And then like now, the first time I went to a conference for alternative assets, everybody I met said, oh, we don't do deals smaller than 80 million. So, and it was just so like calm.
It's come out their mouth. It's 80 million.
So it made me say, oh, obviously I mentally haven't gotten to the place that I think that's normal, but like it's possible and it's there. And the bigger that you can believe, the more that you'll reach out and seek, because it is there. One of those, wait a minute, is it BlackRock or Blackstone?
Both of them are big.
We're going to say one of them posted a huge loss and then raised $450 million the next day. Like water.
Because it's a conversation. It's an easy conversation, though. See, what happens is we're not talking about, like just during this past holiday, we weren't talking about raising $1 million at the table. We was talking about what new shoes or boots didn't fit.
Yeah.
Right.
But so I think that comes down to like environment.
Okay.
So there's definitely a bigger difference now, especially because most of the stuff I talk about wasn't available until 2012. So the securities laws were the exact same from 1933 until 2012.
What happened in 2012?
The Jobs Act came out and created Regulation D, which 506C, which allows for general solicitation. So you can get on a podcast and say, hey, I'm raising capital for this, and it expanded crowdfunding, it expanded Regulation A raises. And so I think that access to capital is becoming more of a conversation, but it's only a conversation in certain rooms. So a part of it is like going where people are having those conversations and like taking it out. And this is why I'm super like, I have to get in front of more people and I have to tell them. But the other side of that is like, we need to also learn to respect each other laterally. So like everybody I know, if they had a chance, they would be like, oh, I met Robert Smith and I want to invest with him.
Yes.
Right? You don't know that man. That man's not been like invite you to his house. But when your friend, who you know is equally capable, is raising capital, you're like, but good luck. Like, I wish you well. I'm like post you on social media or something, but like, I'm not giving you no money. My grandfather's entire business, and you can look him up on Sunbiz, which is where Florida businesses are. Every company he has the same 3 people, because him and his friends is like, we're going to put this money together and we're going to make it work. Every single company, every single time. Yeah. And that's belief laterally. Like, I know you, I trust you, I know you're capable of executing it, and like, let's do it together.
Do it.
And there's a lot of value in that, but like, we have to look at it and see it that way. I bought Berkshire Hathaway stocks. I don't like public stock, by the way, because it's too emotional. It's just based on how people feel. Whoever
at the top.
Yeah. But I bought it because I watched the documentary about Warren Buffett. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting looks like so much fun. So I bought the stock just so I could go. And so I went in 2019. And when I tell you it was amazing is an understatement. Like, just all the events and what was going on, all the portfolio companies are like doing their little trade show thing. Amazing. But the one thing that I got out of it was every person I met said, oh, I met him in 1975. I got the stock for $100. Oh, I was Susie's roommate in college in the 70s and I got the stock for this. Like, so it's like belief laterally. And now those people are all millionaires because
they believed in him.
They believed when it wasn't nothing to talk about. And he even says, and this is why I'm super passionate in general about people getting in the game, but the access to capital piece that you're talking about, emerging managers of capital are always hungrier than the already been in the game wealthy people. And so Warren Buffett is like, everybody thinks that like I'm like crushing it now. My best returning fund was the first one, and it was only $100,000 that I raised.
Wow.
Yeah.
But again, we're not talking about it. So on this journey, we're with you on that one.
Yeah.
So you got to let us know. I want you to tell us, what can we do besides dream big? I need something concrete. One thing that you want us to do so that we begin to get more access to capital and understand that capital.
Okay. So I'm going to make a promise to y'all.
Okay.
And then, so my promise is I'm going to make more consistent content to give you guys the information that's required to make you feel comfortable and confident doing it. And so just follow me on LinkedIn specifically, because I'm like the most active on LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm going to get better at Instagram, but I'm Lala Hurdles too on Instagram. I'm Idlette on Twitter, and obviously Lavonne Idlette on LinkedIn. And I am a very small piece of a huge industry that has trillions of dollars in it, and very few people of color and very few women. And it's definitely time to be like, oh, I heard people will be like, oh yeah, I heard of such and such fund, or I heard of, such and such capital. I don't know what they do. I don't know what it means. And so I'm going to like break all of that down over the next few months.
Next few months.
Yeah.
We got some work to do.
I'm going
to hold you to it.
Accountability. Everybody needs it.
One question before we get out of here. What does delayed gratification mean to you?
So delayed gratification means foregoing things that could be interesting for the thing that you should be doing. And so that's why I don't hustle. I ain't got no side hustles. I got a couple businesses that I don't actually work inside of any of the businesses. I am functioning in the parent company and just making sure the teams are good. As a person who was a professional athlete, it's all about delayed gratification. Every day you just come, and I call them banks, bankable days. Did you make a deposit or did you take something away? If you don't show up 100%, you're taking something away. So you need to make deposits so you can get to the vision. But the thing that I think that most people confuse is that, like, hard work, doing things doesn't necessarily mean that you're going in the right direction or doing the right thing. So that's why 10,000 hours of activity may not necessarily make you an expert. You have to be pretty intentional about making sure you're getting better every day.
Thank you. Listen, thank you for being on. I'm really grateful that we got a chance to have this conversation. We got a lot more conversation coming out of this one. So again, thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Listen, y'all, thank y'all for watching another episode of the Delayed Gratification Podcast. You know, I love y'all. I'll see y'all on the next episode.